Hey there, outliers. Niiamah Shang here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey. We are joined today on this Outliers Edge roundtable by three incredible outliers who are here to share their journey, their experience, and the way that they move through life as they continue to up level on the regular. Today's conversation is going to focus on how these three people continue to level up their impact, their income, and their integrity so they can do this and actually make the difference that they're here to make on this planet. So with that being said, let's get to know these outliers. Why don't we start with you, Shubhada? Shubhada, would you mind letting us know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
Oh, thank you, Niiamah. Thank you for this opportunity. And hello, outliers. I'm Shubhada, and currently, um, coming to my game plan. It's simple, and it's all about staying authentic and adaptable. So, I'm founder of the podcast Succeed with Shubhada. I launched this podcast in September 2022 from the ground up with the focus that it's okay to ask for help from experts and find coaches aligned to their goals. And right now, I'm working on a rebranding. Along the way, I've figured out like what really works when it comes to building a podcast and growing a social media presence. And now that I'm helping others do the same by creating some practical and customized presence, the plans that actually work for them. And I would say outside of the podcasting, my professional background lies in data analysis. Mm, That's pretty much me.
Oh, I love that. I love the data analysis part. Generally speaking, it always makes me smile when people introduce themselves and they have like a certain thing. You're like, oh, I think I get you, and they're like, and by the way, this completely other world exists as well. I'm excited to see how you continue to build upon your background to help your clients and beyond now. So thank you, Shibata. Thanks for being here. Greg, let's get to know you. Can you share more about you and the game you're currently playing?
Yeah, I have a wild journey that starts in a tiny little town in the middle of Wisconsin that goes to UNLV for a theater degree and LA for a while and Little Rock for graduate school and then working all over the world with an international nonprofit. But the current game that I'm playing, a few years ago, I realized that I was unintentionally helping people be intentional about their collaborations. And so a group of us launched the International Institute on Collaboration, and I've been running that and working with clients ever since. And the game I play is how do we just have fun collaborating and putting intention and love and showing up for everybody in the collaboration and ensuring that the objectives get done while everyone is seen and heard and loved.
That's also great. Greg, can I ask you here, just for a point of distinction for me, what is the context in which you think about collaboration? Because there's people that I'll meet and they're like, okay, I have my personal brand and I'm looking to collab, right? But I've also worked in business context as well as corporate context, and it's like, all right, how do we collaborate as teams, as individuals, and such? What's the context that you look at it, or is it all of the above?
We have two main things: the building blocks of collaboration assessment, which looks at the 5 building blocks, which I can happily talk about later. And then we have a collaborative framework that can be applied to in-house collaborations and also multi-organizational collaborations.
All right, cool, 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 cool. All right, so you're getting in on it. I like that there. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. All right, Veruschka, I cannot wait for Outliers to get to know you. Do you mind sharing more about who you are and the game that you're playing?
Um, it's hard to say when you're a multi-passionate character, but fundamentally, I'm a healing arts coach. It's kind of like the hub. I am a master emotional freedom technique practitioner, and if you guys have ever heard of tapping, it really resolves trauma, PTSD, fear, anxiety, changed my life. So I became a practitioner 15 years ago. I work with groups. So I developed online programs back in 2013, like 4-week programs, so that because when we work with groups, I feel like people get more bang for their buck because they don't feel as alone with their problems when they see others have the same issues. And then so they resolve a lot more at once. So I am all about efficiency. And so in order to support being a EFT practitioner, I became a transformational mindset coach, a yoga teacher, all these other labels just so that people feel more comfortable actually doing the tapping as a modality, because it really does put talk therapy, it just diminishes that. So I'm really passionate about emotional freedom, the peace process, about basically that we're here to anchor heaven on earth. So even though those are just words and not something I necessarily read about, but I feel like growing up in Germany and Hawaii, and then choosing the West Coast and Hawaii as one of my places I live, I feel like I'm here to bridge the gap from old world to new world. And so people that do identify as like Rainbow Warrior or New Earth, it really is about changing our minds and our bodies. So fundamentally, I say I'm here to help you change your mind and your body and become free of trauma and, the ancestral genetic trash that we're carrying around, because the body keeps the score. And so all the other things I do really just support, and people don't want to do the psychological heavy lifting work. So if they can't do that, my other thing is making vibrational flower essences. And so in order for people to understand that, I started making skincare. Like, I'm the last person who thinks there needs to be more skincare in the world, but it really took off in Mount Shasta because people feel the benefit of the flowers doing their magic. So people are feeling better. So I tend to gravitate or manifest working at retreat centers, event coordinating, facilitating retreats. And group work is really my passion, just because I feel like we're already so isolated in the world, and just reconnecting to the earth and doing, as above, so below. I'm just really passionate about us all collectively anchoring in a new reality.
Yeah, this is awesome, Veruschka. Thank you for being here. I'm hearing collaboration. I'm hearing one of the things I've gotten from you, Veruschka, is how well you own that you do things in groups. And I think that a lot of times I'll talk to people and they're like, "Well, I just don't have enough time," or I'll just it just be more efficient or cost effective for me to be able, or my clients can't afford it, so I'll just do things in groups. And what I get from what I've already gotten from you in this conversation is like, no, that like it is in and of itself a higher form of benefit here, and you own that, and you make that real. And so, as we come into our conversations, I appreciate you. I appreciate those kinds of elements. I love to see how people like own who they are and how they bring it out into the world. And so, I want to like play in this conversation with exploring some of those elements of how y'all are owning it. All right. Some of what you do will come up here. I know outliers will be interested and intrigued and continue diving down even further with you as well. Greg, right now I'm called to you. And the thing that was coming from me is, as I was listening to Veruschka, it sounded like she's like, "Hey, most people believe something, and like I'm willing to like meet them with what they think the thing is. Like we can talk about it, but you're gonna end up tapping, and you're gonna actually get healed." That's part of what I got from it. And so I'm curious about you, Greg, with what you do, or maybe just how you see the world. What's something that most people believe that like is that that there's actually another truth to it?
What is one thing that most people believe that there is an actual another truth to it? Sorry, I just wanted to
Yep.
digest it because I'm currently pushed back seeing all the beautiful connections between the four of us, and how this anchoring heaven on earth, just all my spidey senses went wild with that.
And feel free to lean into that, Greg. I'm open to that. Like if you want to speak to that before we get into anything else, like I always have questions, but like if you're feeling connection and such, like go with it.
I'm feeling connection, and I want to continue listening to these beautiful humans as they talk so I can see what's more being said to me right now. But to answer your question, I think it is the right now, because of polarization, we think that we can't work together. And yet, every day we go to the grocery store and we can get through the grocery store checkout line with complete strangers, and we accomplish that collaboration successfully every single time. And so, what that says to me is that when we can get behind one common aligned objective, we can still work together on that despite how we're showing up in different ways.
Yeah, when you say this, it takes me to I have a couple of different alien tests because underneath everything I do is belonging. Right, Veruschka pulled that out of me earlier, sorry, invited that out of me earlier. And when I hear this, one of my alien tests is like I'm like, as much as we are all like we can be divided or look at like how we are, even like from one country to the next. I'm like, if aliens showed up tomorrow and Mars attacked, like we would be united as one human race. Like I saw it when I went to the Olympics. I was like, oh, I don't care about any of the other things here. Like if there's USA going on, I'm just going for it. You know? Anything you want to say to that? Because I bet you like immerse yourself in this kind of reality, Greg.
All the time. From, it's when you said that, I mean, I immediately thought what I was thinking was that's why we love natural disaster movies so much, because it gives us, in those types of movies, because it gives us this unification that we're missing. Because I mean, I think these two, again, beautiful humans, are going to say more to this than I can right now, but it brings us this healing. It shows us what the healing looks like that we're yearning for and that we're trying to get to, yet we keep getting in our own ways.
Risha, I'm called to you. See if there's anything you want to say on that. This could you open up some things and then Shubhada, I'm going to come to you next.
Well, I just in full wholehearted agreement. I don't even know why I feel so teary-eyed. Just it's so beautiful that I feel like whatever's happening astrologically and in our humanity, those we are all pioneers. Like we already made this agreement to show up here. I'm not even trying to be all spiritual and woo-woo. It's more like you live these steps alone and you make with faith these steps, and then suddenly you're like in the group and you're like, oh, we all understand each other, and that's what we want, the belonging. Like I just have a medallion I bought at a concert where the band created one that means I belong to Earth and I also connect out to the galaxies. And I'm like, I need this medallion called I belong. And here now you say so the synchronicities, I'm used to it, but it's still like when we still receive it and have gratitude and awe about it, then you just get more abundance of that. So right when Greg was saying like, oh, the grocery store thing, I thought, oh yeah, I remember when I saw that movie Independence Day and I cried so much on the plane because the whole world had to drop all their bullshit and then be like, we're gonna fight the aliens together. And like we just always want that union again. And so I just love how then you immediately said that. And you said that. Like in the end, we just want to be connected,
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Veruschka. Shubhada, I want to come to you and your world right here. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Greg. I'm curious what your thoughts are on it. But like, what's something that you know to be true that few other people would agree with you on? I framed it a little bit differently here, but it's essentially this thing. What's something that you know to be true that few other people would agree with you?
I would say, with respect to anything, let that be business or anything that they want to do in their life, that start small, don't look out for perfection. Yeah.
I'm going to follow
So
this up
as
here. Keep going, Shubhada.
oh, I'm sorry. So we always look out for perfection, be that anything, even if it's even if we're taking with respect to baking as well. So we found if we are just starting out, we find for perfection that, oh, this has to turn out really good, fluffy, tasty. So maybe the first time that doesn't turn out good. But starting out, we will learn first time, or maybe the second time, or maybe the third time. So that's what I believe in.
Yeah, so help make this real here. So like I get how it plays out overall. How's this showed up for you? And what place have you recently had to go back and relearn this lesson?
Yes, so it is with respect to my podcast. So
Hmm.
I've built by myself from scratch and I've made numerous mistakes, and then that's where I've learned. So initially, yes, I was like, yes, I have to bring the high level guests. I have to do it this way. I have to do it that way. And then I ended up with the rebranding with a pause. But then I realized that no, it's okay to bring whoever is available. Everybody has a story, and we have to bring them on and then make it big.
I appreciate you just brought in a word that I haven't used in a while, which is mistakes. And something to tell me here, I'm like, oh, this is a group of people who are very powerful. And what I find along that way is like, oh, that also probably means that they have a whole treasure trove of quote unquote mistakes that got them to this place. So, Greg, let's come to you here. Like, you came up with an idea, to build this institute here. I'm curious about some of the mistakes that has helped build you into the person you are right now.
I'm so sorry. I have to sit with what Shubhada just said. Like
Please.
it was brilliant. When you were talking about the baking, I was like, yeah, but not perfection still tastes really freaking good. like like it's so beautiful. And then there's just parallels with my podcast right now too. I'm going in the third season. I'm like, this is not going to the way that I thought it would. It's all self-made and it's all, I'm like, it's time for a pause, but it still is really great content, so it's out there regardless. So um now I forgot what you said.
Well, no,
Yeah,
let's just
Mom, I'm
let's play with
sorry.
this. You, one thing that's important is that you never have to apologize to me. If you punch me in the face accidentally, I would like an apology there. But for you being you, please no, we're good. We're very, very good. I love how that called you, by the way. That it took you to like even with the imperfection, it can still be really tasty. Tell us more about that.
Well, it's just, I mean, it's true. And then with the mistakes, I do a Thursday thoughts email, and I started it this year to go along with the launch of the institute, and the response has been so beautiful. So I was like, how can I capture this in a way that doesn't cost much, that more people can read it? And I'm writing the conclusion to it now because I'm compiling every Thursday thought email into a book and throwing it up on Amazon, and I'm writing the conclusion right now. And the conclusion starts with, we must make mistakes. And mistakes are necessary for growth. Like there's no other way around it. If we were perfect right now, this would be a very boring life and a very boring world, and the mistakes are necessary. So, and in relationship to how I got to starting the institute on collaboration, it was all mistakes. It was 25 years of mistakes, but really fun mistakes of playing and being an actor and getting a podcast that went well at the late 2000s, and traveling the country for a year, and then ending up at graduate school in Arkansas where I never thought I was going to go in the first place. That brought me to South Africa. Like it is, those are all not symptoms, consequences of mistakes.
Can you repeat what you said about writing for Amazon? I couldn't hear. Did you say a book or what are
Oh,
you?
I apologize. It is yeah, I write my newsletter is a Thursday Thoughts newsletter. Every Thursday there's a very short reading or writing that I do, sitting on one thought that brings it back to collaboration. And the response from my listserv was so great that wanted to get it out there more to more people. There was a lot of benefit from it. So I'm putting them all into a book that will be on Amazon next week. So,
So, and Outliers, by the time this episode comes out, it's probably already on Amazon. So, Greg, if you want to
oh
let us
yeah.
know, yeah, you want to let us know what the title of that is, please share it. Is it finalized what the title is yet?
Thursday Thoughts by Greg Potter.
See, like this, so
Simple, simple.
I am such a fan. Like if you're listening to this, my hands are up in the air. I'm just enjoying the simplicity of this here. Um, there's a bunch of things that run through me, and I'll be curious how each of you all have played with this in your journeys. But like Greg, as I hear this, one of the things is like you just got started. You're like, I had an idea for something I'll do this year, and then you started doing it. And then from what I'm understanding, the people who were receiving it came back to you positively. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, then why don't I just take this idea and put it in another medium for people so that like some people want to get it through email, some people are going to want to read it through a book. So I'll just combine it into a book. And we'll just like get it out on Amazon. And that'll happen before the end of this year as well. I love like the evolution of it. I love like the staying present with it. And then like It's like I don't know what's in your head, so you let us know. But the simplicity of like the thing's called Thursday Thoughts, so I thought I'll just name the book Thursday Thoughts. I'll put my name afterwards, like there's something in there where they're like it doesn't feel like toil needs to go in to be able to bring something out to life. So I just want to know, like, I would hear if there's anything you can say to help me see what's actually happening. And then I'd love to see from Shubhada or Veruschka, like anything else that's popping up for you as you're creating.
Well, what comes to mind really is Margaret Wheatley's book, Turning to One Another. It's, I think it's one of the best guides in conflict resolution, um, if you're just getting started out. And that's one of the 5 building blocks of collaboration. But she says in Turning to One Another, simple solutions are elegant solutions. And I, I always believe, I mean, we're seeking the most direct route. Same with, oh my gosh, Big Magic. At the beginning of that book, when she talks about ideas will find the ways to the most, like lightning, it will get to the direct. So if it's simple and it works, go with it. We don't have to overcomplicate things because we do that every day.
Yeah, I just like to second what you two have been sharing about just we're so afraid of being beginners, and perfectionism. And some of my favorite podcasts I've done is when I was interviewed, because it always comes back to creativity. I'm usually used to interviewing people, but it's like, wow, I have a lot to share how creativity changed my life, because it brought so much healing, because it's about trying new things. So one of my biggest platforms is encouraging people, don't be afraid to try new things, and it's not too late to try new things. And because most of us had some parental figure that was the critical one, or that becomes later our inner voice, and so we're just don't even want to be an amateur at anything. But it just brings the greatest rewards. And it's like, even if you suck at art was the thing for me in Hawaii, and so I just was committed to doing art every Friday, and I just felt like such an imposter and such a child. But then 3 years later, I was invited to have an art show, and I had all the support by the local artists. And I still don't think I'm good at art, but because I didn't have any training, it became its own unique art. But I am a very passionate photographer. And so the more art I did, the more it exploded my ability in my photography. And I just like went to new places because I was stretching new muscles and I was reducing my criticism. So I just love what you guys are sharing, because it's just, you can just try. And if it's not in your flow, then try something else. But it's just like, just the keeping on showing curiosity in your life, and that it's never too late.
That's awesome here. Like Veruschka, like one of the things that's getting me is when you talked about how the more you did your art, um, it actually expanded something in another like arena for you, where like you could see it coming out in your photography. And so I would love for y'all if you can speak to what are some of like um, the things that may have seemed like either tangential or frivolous, or maybe you even walked away from it. And now you're like, I am so glad I went to that 1 day retreat or whatever it is, because it shows up in my work in a very like subtle but important way. I'd be curious what you all have. I'm sure there's something for you. Shibata, why don't we start with you and then like we'll go around.
I'm sorry, I lost your question.
Yeah, so the question here is, what's something that like you did that like in the past that you thought was, probably didn't have any like real importance that keeps showing up now as something that's meaningful for you in the work that you do?
Yes, so I would like to share the story, but in short, so as an immigrant, when I landed here in USA, going back to the admitting the mistake stuff. So, so I've joined an agency where we got cheated by with lots of dollars, and that's when I decided that hey, I should do something about this, and I need to talk about this, and how can this be done? And that's when I reached out to all the coaches or the mentors out there. And then I realized that, okay, so they gave me this idea that, hey, why don't you do this podcast? And why don't you bring the mentors or the coaches out there? Why don't you talk to them and let people know out there, hey, you can take help from them? So this is what keeps me going back, that if I'm falling out somewhere, that I can reach out for help.
Thanks, Shubhada. Like I like playing around with this. Let's keep the channels open. Greg, Veruschka, anything come to you here? Maybe like you can take my original idea of like what was something that was frivolous or whatever, but build it into your own. I'm really curious about where you take it.
One thing just came to mind, if you don't mind me popping in. I love that story, Shubhada. Where a year and a half ago, sometimes you just do the things in your private life and you think they just don't, that's just like my secret way of praying to the earth and my secret, prayers of my separate life, like keeping things separated. And then a year and a half ago, I was on a road trip to LA trying to help a friend move to Mount Shasta. And so on the way, we met some friends in Santa Barbara that were like, hey, we're going to have this camp out with some of Dr. Emoto's students at Clear Lake, the most polluted lake in California, the largest lake in California, and the oldest in the United States. And I was like, oh, well, by chance, I have my storage unit there from when I moved to Hawaii, and it's time for me to retrieve it. And so, this is just like a task to go. And then I joined this retreat. It's not even a retreat, it was just a camp out. And I was like, well, what's my part to help heal the water? I've always been into healing the water. I've always identified as a water protector, but just secretly in the closet, And so I tested my flower essences and thought, well, maybe I can give a flower essence to the water. And then as I'm like giving a flower essence that represented healing the violations of the Father, and this is a polluted lake. So I'm like, wow, the intelligence that the flower can, so I'm just like putting drops in this massive body of water. And then I realized that I could tap on the water. I'm like, I never thought about, we're tapping on ourselves to change. I'm like, so I decided to tap on the water and I felt this huge energy and call and response. And fast forward from something so innocent and haphazard, I'm now in direct relationship having weekly meetings with the legacy holder of Dr. Emoto. And if you guys have heard of him, he was a Japanese scientist who measured the intelligence, the consciousness of water as a living entity holding memory. And if you haven't heard of him, you'll probably notice everyone has that book, like it's a water crystal on the shelf, and how, it's beautiful water. If you say the word love, it's like the beautiful crystal. If you say fear, it's like a jagged crystal. So it's like the proof how water is affected by intent. And so for me, it blows my mind that as a secret water protector, I am now in one-on-one weekly meetings around raising how we can raise, heal our waters in the world.
What This is so beautiful. I just want to just pay homage to what all three of you are sharing. And it's just, what's coming up for me as I'm listening to this is the underlying theme. Many years ago, I did my child regressional therapy work. I did, and I thought, oh, but then 2024 came in and it started coming up again, and not in the same ways as healing it, is more accessing it. And as I was thinking about and listening to what's going on, I think about how often once a year I get asked to go speak to this very large group of freshman college students, because the anxiety levels are increasing every year of this age group, and I can go in there and say, just make a decision and go with it, because it's all going to work out. It's all going to be accessible and useful for whatever does happen. And so that's coming to my mind right now, and that speaking to our 18-year-old self, or our younger self, and being able to say, no matter how frivolous it is, it still is going to show up and for some use at some weird, peculiar moment that you weren't expecting, and like, wow. And now being in my 40s, being able to some days meditate and think, okay, who is best, most equipped for this? Oh, my 25-year-old? Okay, they're going to drive the bus today. They're going to like focus and get us through this moment. So that all that was coming up as you two were sharing. So
Yeah, that sounds like a lot like how just the awareness, how our past selves and our future selves seem to be connected, like that we're always being like who we are now in our progression is like we can be grateful to all the parts of us and how our future self is already helping us. Where I'm like, oh, thanks, past self, for putting this here and for doing that. At the time it seemed negligible, but it's like we're, just the beauty in recognizing all the stages we've been in and how it's informing who we are now and what we're being of service to.
Outliers. I'm going to invite you right now to take just pay homage to your past self right here. I love this thanks past self element. I say this here because when I was thinking about mistakes or coming as a beginner at this year, it's like realistically, the people listen to this as outliers, like they're pretty high performers. And it's not like actually beginning again, but it's like playing like being a beginner in whatever that field is, or being like doing things for the first time. And Veruschka, when you talked about like just saying thanks, oh thanks, past self, I was like, oh yeah, like we've been equipped for this in ways that we may not know. It's part of why I love like I'm like, how do we find a genuine way for you to get to the results? Because you've been building skills all throughout your journey. It's interesting. My thing is, I'm like, we're marketed to people who've built other skills and say, use my skills, whereas like, I think there's a real truth in being able to collate and allow for the experiences that you've had in the past to then come forth and like contribute to what you're building right now. So I appreciate that. Outliers, take some time. I'm gonna spend some time thanking my past self, because I'm like, yeah, it's that Niiamah has done some work to put me in this place right here. I appreciate it. So I'm curious now. We have outliers edge. Most of the time I have these conversations, I focus more on the outlier than on the edge. One day I'll put myself on the edge and go only there. But I'm curious now. When I think about edge, it has multiple meanings to me. The edge that I'm curious about right now is, what is the thing that's like on the edge of your greatness, on the thing that's like on the edge of your comfort zone right now that you're taking on, and because realistically, that's where a lot of the outliers are who are listening to this are as well, right? And so the way that I tend to frame this is through a project that you're taking on right now that is uncertain to you. Like you don't know where it's going to end. You're in it, and it might even give you sweaty palms. But what's something right now that is putting you on your edge? Greg, I'm going to start with you. Then I'm going to Shubhada. Then I'm going to go to Veruschka on this one here. But what's a project? What's something that excites you that has you in that element of feeling like you're on your edge right now?
we're going full transparency right now,
Yeah, yeah.
FYI. I'm just letting it out. Um, Recreating the rules, these stupid rules that were created so long ago by people that had different intentions and different things, recreating the rules so it serves my ability to get this work out to everyone it possibly can reach. That's what like there is, it's constantly fighting the lack of resources mindset, lack of time mindset, these deficiencies that are coming up. It's constantly going up against that. And as we were speaking earlier, I did this work for the last 20 years to be ready for this moment. We all said that in some way already in this conversation. And so changing those rules so that this work can get to everyone it possibly can reach, so it's useful to them.
So, Greg, I'm going to follow up with you, because when you talk about the rules, I heard it originally as like the system and the rules and the way that things have to get done. But then as you were speaking, it felt like it was like almost like the internal rules, the rules of like, hey, this is how I look at it. This is what I think it should be. Can you like let me know if there is a distinction for you, and then like help make the rule changing part a little bit real for me.
Um, I was working with a group of lawyers a few months ago, and in this work, they were all crying, all of them, men, women, and we got really deep in this. And a rule, an unsaid rule, would be there's no crying in the workplace. Like it's these types of rules. It is barriers. I don't have money to do this, or we don't have money to do this. It is uh, who who should be working on this. Oh, that's a project manager. No, also it's the hourly employee that's doing this because they need to develop their leadership skills and their friendliness to collaborate and their self-awareness just as badly as the CEO does. So it's it's those rules. And then me, there's also the internal rules of, okay, this little, kid that came from a trailer court in the middle of Wisconsin, these were not the set of rules that you were supposed to be doing either. And those are also getting broken.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Greg. Shiba, curious for you, like what's going on for you there? What are you taking on right now that's putting you out on your edge?
So my edge lies in combining the storytelling with data analysis. So recently I started with this business of helping others with their own podcasts, right? Starting with their podcast, or even if they're leveling up. So I'm in a position where if I should do this, get this business, take it forward, or should I go back and do the data analysis stuff? So yes, I'm in there.
Yeah, that's so interesting. It's a cool place to be right now. How are you navigating that? And let me see if I'm asking that question too in a too high level perspective, but like it feels like you're like at a persevere or pivot moment, like a crossroads there, right? Or at least, or maybe it's not the moment, but you're like it's on you. So how are you navigating? I'm sure that there are other outliers out there that are also like, I think this might be working, but I definitely know this other thing would work. It just would be that's just more of my past versus where I think my future might be.
Right. So currently I'm doing both. Just that crossroads, yes. So I'm applying for the data analyst roles as well. I'm looking out for clients for my business and
Yeah.
also working on the rebranding of the podcast. So yes, wearing multiple hats currently.
Yeah. Oh, I like this. Like this, you're actually hedging and playing on all sides right now. All right. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. Veruschka, I'm gonna come to you. Sweaty palms, like what's keeping you on your edge?
Well, I just want to say that I feel close to tears. My heart is a bit beating. So thanks for drawing this out. I posted a song this morning on my way back from swimming. It's old, it's like 20 years old, called Cry, from Godly and Cream. It's like one of the first breakthrough videos or music videos were just coming out. So check it out. So that Greg just sharing what he just shared, like I'm blown away. And I don't even know how to talk about this, so I have a little story. This is a photo I composed and did on the new earth, on the lava, with a man. Prince had just died, one of my favorite heroes, so I made him wear an Afro wig. Mauna Loa is like a 15,000-foot mountain we have, and I call my photography healing art because there's always a prayer being made for the earth or for the person, and this is the divine masculine rising. So for me to come back, I haven't been back to Hawaii in 4 years, and I just pulled that out of storage, all the art I created here. So I've been having this out, the divine masculine rising, and I'm very passionate about doing the inner work of balancing our inner masculine, feminine by confronting, relationship with mother, father, so that we can, understand what we favor. And so just helping people come into balance. But at the root of, mostly women do the work. Yesterday, a man here booked a session with me to clear his mother wound. And it just was so incredible, where I just feel like I don't know how to speak in my social media to say, hey men, come on, let's do the hard heart work, like let's heal your mother wound. Like, we need you, we need, but I'm just so here for it. And it just like, I feel like I'm always put in positions where I'm seeing and witnessing men breaking the norm. I seeing the man cry like 6 times during the session. Like, I am the perfect person to witness that. Like, it's happening. What's the news when we have so much fear, so much separation, fear of the future, all the wars going on, genocide. Yet, like, there's so much fear, scarcity. People don't know how they're going to survive. And I'm having to say, I want to bring back the beauty way, to bring beauty, share beauty, speak about beauty. Like, what's my news? Well, my news is I swam with dolphins this week, and I helped a man heal his mother wound, and like, I have my fridge is filled with the best food, and it's like the audacity to talk about beauty. And when people are so angry and scared, and so my edge is like how to speak more publicly, and like, men, I'm here for you. Let's face all of mother and father wound, whatever. But it's the divine masculine rising. If you look up that hashtag, I have been using it since for 12 years. So you're going to find a lot of my work there, and that's my edge, and that's why my heart's beating. And I just want to thank you guys for being in the personal development world, because let's normalize actually feeling our emotions, because I feel like that's the only way forward is through our hearts.
I appreciate you because you went to the edge. You didn't talk about the edge. You allowed yourself to be on the edge. And that's something here that, like, it's a distinction that I think is important. So we say experience over expertise, right? Like, it's like, this is it right here. Um, I'm feeling good. I want to keep talking to y'all, and we're gonna start wrapping up our conversation here. Like, y'all are fantastic. Outliers, I'm gonna come to you here. I have an invitation for you to share this episode with one person in your life who you feel would really benefit from it. This is like, I'm always a fan for you going to share it on your socials or sharing out with your overall platform. But underneath this, we have a movement of belonging. And this one here is the one person, one conversation at a time initiative. I really believe that if you can go to someone and let them know you were thinking of them and saying, I saw this, I listened to this podcast, I see this as a gift from me to you to let you know I'm thinking of you. I think you would really enjoy this. I have a feeling like that's the undercurrent that will make everything else, like, on the surface, like, make sense, like, be worthwhile. So please take the time. If there's someone in your world that you really feel would benefit from this conversation, please go ahead and share it with them. Shubhada, Greg, and Veruschka, we're wrapping up here in our conversation. And the way that I wrap up is that, like, at this point, outliers have gotten what they're here for. And now I just want to wrap up with you by letting outliers know how they can go deeper down the journey with you, how they can stay connected with you, and an insight that you got from this conversation. In what ways are you changing as a result of this? And if you didn't get any insights, that's totally fine. Just say I didn't get an insight. But I want to create some space here for us to close with each other in this space, and yeah, be complete in that way. So I'm going to start off here with Veruschka, and I'll go to Shubhada. Veruschka, can you share with us how outliers can go deeper down the journey with you and an insight that you got from today's conversation?
You can go to my YouTube channel, Rose Yoga, Tapping into Heart Courage. That's also the name of my podcast. And I haven't been active so much this year, but I have many, like 40 interviews since 2015 on my YouTube channel. So there's free tapping, which they're all timeless. And what else? Instagram is miracle_Inc. So Miracle Inc. But you can get in touch with me through the Rose Yoga Tapping into Heart Courage. And what I've gotten out is just this beauty of this open desire for unification with all of us, and just feeling this harmony. I think this is modeling the new future in our humanity, is like, just, hey, let's just throw these people together and we're totally already accepting of each other. And there's also this mirroring going on, like, I'm not alone, we're all following our inspiration. So it's like, I feel like my crew is out there, and that makes me feel more courageous that I'm on the right track. So thank you.
You, Veruschka. Thank you. Thank you for being a part. Thank you for letting me be a part of your career and letting us be with you too. You know, Shubhada, how about you? How can people go deeper down the journey with you? And what's an insight you got from today?
So yes, people out there can reach out to me on Succeed with Shubhada social media channel on Instagram, or you can reach out to me on my email ID, you@succeedwithshubhada.com. The insight that I've learned today, yes, I agree with Veruschka on learning and accepting from each other. Yeah, pretty much. And thank you for sharing your insights, Greg and Veruschka. It was lovely knowing great things from you all.
Thank you, Shubhada. Thank you. Thank you. And Greg, would you mind bringing us home for today? An insight you have and how people can go deeper with you.
I'm trying to find brevity in this. First of all, I had signs for the last 2 days that the three of you were coming into my life for very different reasons, and it's blowing my mind right now. Um, the way that you can connect, that outliers can connect with me, is my social media is GG Potter. I've got two G's at the end of my name, GG Potter. So ggpotter.com, at GG Potter on Instagram, LinkedIn. Like, it's very easy to find me that way. And just let's start with a conversation about how you're collaborating and what's going on, and we'll go from there. And if it's something that you want to do more, whether it's taking the collaborative framework, the life cycle of collaboration, or taking more about the 5 building blocks of collaboration, or just having more conversations with me, we'll find a way. We'll do that. But the takeaway is, I was on my way to the office to get onto this. It's 3 o'clock. It's in the afternoon of a Friday here in Wisconsin, and I'm like, oh, this has been a week. And then I had a little whisper in the ear that said, Greg, you're going to play in the sandbox. Just shut up and go. And then the first word out of your mouth, Niiamah, was play. So play and surrender. That's my takeaway from, let's make time to play and let's remember to surrender.
I wanted to say something, but that one really hit me. That one really hit me. What y'all don't know is that as I'm like maybe you do know this because we're all doing this in our own way, but like I'm making this stuff up as it goes along. And each time I go in, I wanted to say that my gratitude to you all because you remind me that like this is my work. You know, Veruschka, you're like, I'm talking about all this stuff and I know all these other things are going on, but like this is the work I'm here to do. And I just want to say thank you for joining me in this. Thank you for bringing yourselves to this here and for sharing so openly and fully here. Like y'all are amazing. And Outliers, you are amazing as well. In fact, remember this, please. Go out there and be you on purpose. Journey on.